want you to first understand that soccer is not just a sport. It's a feeling, and you will better understand this by the end of this video. Picture this, a 40-year-old man, a professional athlete, one of the greatest goalkeepers in soccer's history. He's standing in front of a camera after a match and he is trying not to cry. He says, "I don't want to cry in front of the kids watching at home who dream of playing for Italy." That was Gianluigi Buffon in 2017. The iconic Italian goalkeeper, the moment Italy found out they would not be going to the 2018 World Cup. A man who had won everything in soccer, completely broken because his country wouldn't be at the tournament. And here's the thing that blows me away. Guess what just happened again? This year, Italy failed to qualify for the World Cup for the third time in a row. For those of you who might not know, Italy is a truly powerhouse in soccer, but they won't be at the 2026 World Cup. 3 consecutive World Cups, one of the most celebrated footballing nations on earth. Not there. And today, we're going to talk about why that matters. Not just emotionally, but financially, commercially, economically, and yes, politically too. Because the World Cup isn't just a tournament. It is the most powerful commercial and political event in human history. 5 billion people will watch this World Cup because they feel something. And every feeling is an economic transaction. Before we go any further, if you are new here, welcome. My name is Dr. Rene Padilla, and this is PowernomiKs, where we don't just watch the world happen, we understand it. Every episode, we take the big events, the ones everyone is talking about, and we pull back the curtains on the economics, the power, and the real stakes behind them. If that sounds like something you need in your life, hit the subscribe button right now. And if this episode gives you something to think about, something to share with a friend, something that makes you say, I didn't know that, give it a like. It takes 2 seconds and it helps this channel reach more people who are ready to know more than the headlines. We are building something here, and I am glad that you're a part of it. Now let's get into it. When the world stops and the money flows. Take a look at this seemingly simple slide. FIFA will make $8.9 billion in just 40 days. We are now less than a month away from kickoff. June 18th, right here in North America, the United States, Canada, and Mexico will co-host the biggest World Cup ever staged. There will be 48 nations, 104 matches in 16 different cities. And FIFA, the governing body of global football, is projected to generate $8.9 billion with a B dollars from this single event. Let that number sink in for a second. $8.9 billion from just one tournament. And that is a 56% increase over the last World Cup in Qatar. And Qatar already made an estimated $17 billion in profits from hosting the event. So where does all this money come from? Let's break it down. FIFA makes money through 4 primary channels. Number 1, television rights. Nearly $4 billion. That's 44% of total revenue just from TV deals. In 2026 changes everything on that front, because for the first time since 1994, matches will air in North American primetime. You know what advertisers pay for live sports in primetime? The Super Bowl charges $7 million for a 30-second spot. A World Cup final reaching 5 billion people globally, we're in that territory. Number 2, ticketing and hospitality. This is the biggest financial jump in history. At the Qatar World Cup, match day revenue was roughly $950 million. In 2026, that figure is expected to hit the $3 billion. That is a 216% increase, driven by American stadiums that average nearly 70,000, hosting 78 of the 104 matches. Number 3, sponsorships. Adidas, Coca-Cola, Visa, $1.78 billion in commercial partnerships. And number 4, licensing and other income. When you add it all together, $8.9 billion in about 40 days. And this isn't a one-time thing. Every 4 years, the numbers get bigger. In 2002, FIFA's revenue from the tournament was under $1 billion, as we can see from this graph. By 2018, $6.4 billion. By 2022, $7.5 billion. And now projected at $8.9 billion for 2026. That is the compounding effect of a sport that keeps adding fans faster than any other on earth. 3.5 billion people, roughly half the world's population, identify as football fans. That's half the planet. Now, here is where it gets personal. When we say a country goes to the World Cup, that's not just a team getting on a plane. It took a great deal of effort and many games just to make it to the World Cup, unless you're hosting the event. That's an economy activating. Bars filling up, jerseys selling out, hotels booking months in advance, people taking time off work, families gathering around screens. Every single match your team plays is economic activity. Every goal, every penalty kick, every close at the whistle, people are spending money as they watch. And the nations themselves, just for qualifying, receive guaranteed money from FIFA. Every one of the 48 countries that made it to this World Cup gets a minimum of $10.5 million just for showing up. That includes $1.5 million for pre-tournament preparation. For a smaller federation, that's transformative. That funds coaching academies, youth development, infrastructure, sometimes for years. Win the whole thing, $50 million. Runner-up, $33 million. Even a team that goes out in the group stage, the first round, walks away with $9 to $11 million. This is what qualifying matters beyond sports. This is money, real money. Now, let's talk about what it means to host the World Cup. In 1994, the last time the United States hosted, Los Angeles alone generated $623 million in economic activity. Total, in 1994, the last time the United States hosted, Los Angeles alone generated $623 million in economic activity. Total U.S. profits were estimated at $1.45 billion. And here is something people don't realize, that 1994 World Cup directly led to the creation of the MLS. That's Major League Soccer in 1996. One tournament launched an entire professional league that still exists today, and it's thriving. Russia, in 2018, the government estimated it would add 4 to 6% of annual GDP over the following 5 years just from hosting the tournament. The Russian government said without the World Cup, there would have been no economic growth that year at all. And for 2026, FIFA projects a $40.9 billion boost to North American GDP. Individual U.S. host cities expected to earn between $160 and $602 million each. But here's the part of this story that most people never think about. What happens to the countries that don't go? Because this is not just about the countries that qualify. This is also about the ones that don't. The ones who will only be watching it on TV. And the price they pay in dollars, not just pride, which is a huge price already. For instance, let's take a look at Colombia when they failed to qualify for the 2022 World Cup. Their National Merchandise Association, FENALCO, put an actual number on it. $810 million in economic losses. Because when Colombia is in the World Cup, beer sales jump up nearly 40%. Spirits up 20%. TV screen sales up almost 20%. When Colombia isn't there, none of that happens. A street vendor in Bogota said it simply. There would be less interest in collecting stickers. The Colombian team wouldn't be in the album. This is a tradition in some Latin American countries for the World Cup. He had stocked up on Panini stickers for months. All of that investment gone. When the United States missed the 2018 World Cup, the USSF forfeited the $12.4 million that FIFA gives for participating, and Fox had paid over $400 million for broadcast rights, and so their viewership projections drop overnight. A country doesn't just lose a football match when it misses the World Cup. It loses an economic event. Now, let's talk about the part nobody puts in the highlight reel. Because the Soccer World Cup, for all its beauty, all its emotion, all its feelings, and all its billions, has never been separate from politics. Not for one single edition in its entire history. Let's start nearly 50 years ago. Let's look at Argentina, 1978. The military junta of General Jorge Videla had seized power in 1976, and what followed was one of the darkest chapters in South American history. Between 15,000 and 30,000 people were forcibly disappeared, kidnapped, tortured, and in many cases dropped from planes into the sea with concrete weights on their feet. And right in the middle of it all, Argentina hosted the World Cup. Here's the detail that stops you cold. The Navy School of Mechanics, a clandestine concentration camp where thousands of political prisoners were held and tortured, was located just 10 blocks from the stadium where Argentina played their World Cup matches. Political prisoners in their cells could hear the crowd cheering when Argentina scored. The junta used the tournament deliberately as a global public relations exercise to distract the world from the atrocities happening in the streets and the cells outside the stadium walls. The world showed up anyway, and Argentina won. That is the World Cup and politics. Now let's fast forward to 2015. The United States Department of Justice unsealed a 47-count criminal indictment. 9 FIFA officials and 5 corporate executives were charged with racketeering, wire fraud, and money laundering. The DOJ said, and I'm going to quote this directly, that the accused had turned FIFA into a corrupt enterprise spanning 2 generations of soccer officials. 27 individual defendants ultimately pleaded guilty. Over $150 million in bribes have been paid. Officials were arrested at dawn in a Zurich hotel. The sitting FIFA president at the time, Sepp Blatter, was banned from football for 8 years. This was not a rogue element. This was the system. The organization that decides which country gets to host the World Cup and collects $8.9 billion doing it had been a bribery machine for decades. Now, let's take a look at Qatar. FIFA awarded the 2022 World Cup to Qatar, a country that had to build every single stadium from scratch in scorching desert heat using migrant labor. Qatar's own officials who oversaw World Cup construction later admitted in a televised interview that between 400 and 500 migrant workers died on World Cup related projects. The Guardian newspaper investigated further and found over 6,500 South Asian migrant workers had died in Qatar since the country was awarded the tournament in 2010. The sponsors stayed quiet. The TV deals held. And the money flowed. And the World Cup was held. And now, in 2026, FIFA needed the United States, the biggest market on earth, the primetime broadcast window, the enormous stadiums, the $40 billion economic impact. So what did FIFA do? In November of 2025, just weeks before the World Cup draw, FIFA announced a brand new award, something that had never existed before in the organization's 120-year history. The FIFA Peace Prize. The draw was held in December at the Kennedy Center in Washington, and FIFA President Gianni Infantino, who has made multiple visits to the White House and is a close personal ally of the president, walked on stage and presented the very first FIFA Peace Prize to Donald Trump. Trump called it, quote, one of the great honors of my life. It gets more interesting. Infantino had since announced that Trump will stand on the podium at MetLife Stadium on July 19th and co-present the World Cup trophy to the winning nation alongside him. This will be the final, the World Cup final, the biggest event on earth. Now, I'm not here to tell you what to think about any of that. That is not the PowernomiKs way. But I will ask you this question, and I want you to sit with it. When a governing body that controls an $8.9 billion tournament creates a brand new award, one that never existed before, and gives it to the president of the country hosting that tournament, just weeks before the draw, is that a peace prize? Or is that a business arrangement? Remember, it is not about believing what we want to believe. It is about knowing what we need to know. So we come back to where we started. Gianluigi Buffon crying or trying not to cry. Diego Maradona, the greatest player of his generation, weeping openly on the podium after Argentina lost the 1990 final. The entire stadium watching a demigod fall apart. England's Paul Gascoigne in 1990 getting booked in a semi-final and realizing in real time on the pitch in front of the world that if England made the final, he wouldn't be able to play. His face crumbling on camera, an entire nation weeping with him. These moments aren't incidental to the economics. They aren't incidental to the politics. They are the reason the money flows. They are the reason the politics work. Because when people care that deeply, when grown men cry over a ball, that emotion becomes the most valuable commodity on earth. And those who understand that, the sponsors, the governments, the governing bodies, they have always known how to monetize it. The World Cup generates $8.9 billion not because of stadium infrastructure or TV contracts. It generates $8.9 billion because half the world has staked something personal on the outcome of a game played with a ball. That is the power. That is the economics. That's PowernomiKs. And in less than a month, we get to find out who breaks down and who lifts the trophy. Before I let you go, if this episode made you see something differently, if it made you ask a question you weren't asking before, that is exactly what PowernomiKs is here to do. Subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next, like this video if it earned it, and share it to someone who needs to know more than the headlines. I'll see you next week.